Okay, what if I told you that the world's biggest power struggles right now are being fought over the absolute smallest pieces of technology? No, this isn't some sci-fi plot. We're talking about microchips. You know, the brains inside everything we use. And believe me, they are causing a massive geopolitical earthquake. Yeah, it's a huge shift. What used to be this, beautifully efficient, globalized supply chain, well, that's now a full-blown battleground. The simple truth is, the world is literally fracturing over silicon. And you're probably wondering, how did we even get here? Well, stick with me for the next 5 minutes and you'll understand exactly why this is happening and who's coming out on top. All right, so first things first. To really get a handle on this crisis, you have to appreciate the sheer scale we're talking about. These little things aren't just important. I mean, they're the absolute bedrock of our entire modern world. I mean, just think about it for a second. That phone in your pocket? Billions of transistors. Your car. It's packed with dozens of chips running everything from the engine to the airbags. And it goes deeper. Modern hospitals, our entire defense system, the cloud, you name it. Literally none of it works without these tiny, powerful little things. So, how did this all spiral out of control? Well, it started back in 2020. The pandemic hit, everyone went remote, and demand for electronics just exploded. Then, factory shutdowns in Asia created these huge bottlenecks. But here's the key. It's evolved. This isn't just a supply chain hiccup anymore. Oh no, it's now a deliberate, strategic fight. And that right there brings us to the real heart of the problem, the massive vulnerability in the system. The entire world, and I mean all of it, has an Achilles heel. It's a single point of failure so concentrated, it's actually hard to believe. Get ready for this number. 90%. Just let that sink in for a second. 90%. That single number represents one of the biggest, most dangerous technological dependencies the world has ever seen. So what is that 90%? It's the share of the world's most advanced, most powerful semiconductors that are made by one single company, TSMC, in one single place, Taiwan. That's it. This is the ultimate strategic choke point for the entire global economy. You know, for decades, the whole system was built for maximum efficiency. It was all about globalization. You design the chips in the US, get them manufactured in Taiwan, maybe assemble them in Malaysia, and then ship them out worldwide. And look, from a business perspective, it was brilliant. But it also created this incredibly fragile system, a single point of failure just waiting to break. And that fragility, well, it suddenly became a massive, massive problem. Because we're not just talking about whether you can get the latest PlayStation anymore. We're talking about the keys to the kingdom. Leadership in AI, military dominance, economic power, it all comes down to who has access to the most advanced chips. They're not luxuries, they are the strategic asset of our time. So what happens when something becomes a strategic asset? Well, nations start treating it like a weapon. And that's exactly what's happening. Welcome to the chip war. This is the new Cold War, and it's being fought with silicon. Things really kicked into high gear in October 2022. That's when the US rolled out some of the biggest export controls we've seen in, well, forever. And the goal was total. It wasn't just about blocking China from getting the most advanced chips. No, they also blocked the sale of the super complex equipment you need to make the chips, and they even went after the special software you need to design the chips. It was a move to cut things off at the source. I saw a quote that just nails the impact of this. Someone said the US essentially created a digital iron curtain. And that's exactly what it is. The policy was designed to force a hard separation, a total tech decoupling between the US and China. So, faced with what it calls technological containment, what did China do? Well, its response has been incredibly fast and focused. First, they are pouring unbelievable amounts of money into their own chip industry. They're trying to build up their own champions, like SMIC. And now they're starting to play their own cards, controlling the export of critical raw materials like gallium and germanium that you need to make chips in the first place. And suddenly, we're in this new era of what you could call chip diplomacy. It's a global scramble. On one side, you have the West. The US has its CHIPS Act, pumping billions into building factories at home. The EU is doing the same. They're also building alliances with Japan and the Netherlands to tighten the screws on export controls. On the other side, you've got China, fighting back by leveraging its control over raw materials and going all in on becoming self-sufficient, especially in the less advanced but still totally vital mature node chips that go into cars and everyday electronics. So, where is all this heading? What's the end game here? Well, the picture is getting pretty clear. It's the end of the road for a single global tech world. What we're seeing is the rise of a much more fractured future. It's like we're watching two separate technological universes being born. You've got the US-led bloc, which is all about staying on the cutting edge by working with trusted allies like Taiwan, South Korea, and Europe. And then you've got the Chinese sphere, which has a totally different goal: complete and total self-sufficiency. Their strategy is all about overcoming this containment and becoming indispensable in their own right. And really, that's the bottom line. The era of a globally integrated semiconductor supply chain where everything just worked seamlessly, it's decisively over. That world is gone. This is where we get to a really fascinating idea called the silicon shield. Okay, so the theory goes like this. As long as Taiwan, because of TSMC, is absolutely essential to the world economy, then it's just too valuable to attack. Its security is literally tied to its tech leadership. It's this wild paradox, right? The island's safety actually depends on the world being dangerously dependent on it. And you better believe they protect that shield. Taiwan has this policy called the N-1 rule. Basically, it means that any factory TSMC builds outside of Taiwan, even the new ones in the US, is only allowed to produce chips that are one generation behind the cutting-edge tech they have back home. It's a clever way to make sure the most valuable stuff, the thing that makes them indispensable, always stays in Taiwan. So in the end, it all boils down to this one powerful idea. Silicon is the new oil. It's the resource that's going to define global power for the rest of this century. But here's the twist. Unlike oil, the real scarcity isn't the raw material. It's the mind-bogglingly complex expertise needed to turn that sand into the world's most advanced technology. And that leaves us with the one question that changes everything. See, it's not just who can make the chips anymore. The real question, the one that will define geopolitics for the next decade, is this: who controls access to them? The answer to that is going to reshape everything.